We have breaking news tonight on the Senate health care bill. This is their latest attempt to repeal and replace Obamacare. One of the most dramatic moments in the previous debate on this months ago came from Jimmy Kimmel after he came on his show and told the story of his infant baby son being born with a heart defect and desperately needing immediate surgery. Jimmy Kimmel spoke eloquently at that time about how he wants that to be available to any child in America and that everyone in America should have this kind of health care that they need. That became known as the Jimmy Kimmel test. And Senator Bill Cassidy, who's one of the co-sponsors of the Graham-Cassidy bill now moving in the Senate, actually went on Jimmy Kimmel's show and talked about this and promised to adhere to the Jimmy Kimmel test. Here's what Jimmy Kimmel has said tonight in the taping of his show that will air later tonight.
This is a bad bill, but don't take my word for it. Here are just some of the organizations that oppose this Graham-Cassidy bill. The American Cancer Society, the American Diabetes Association, American Heart Association, American Lung Association, the Arthritis Foundation, Cystic Fibrosis, the ALS Association, the March of Dimes, Multiple Sclerosis Society, Children's Hospital of LA. Basically, any group you've ever given money to thinks this is a bad idea. Do you trust them or do you trust him? Okay? So if this bill isn't good enough for you, call your congressperson. That's the number. It'll go to your congressperson, wherever he or she is, 202-224-3121. You have to do this. You can't just click like on this video. Tell them this bill doesn't pass your test. And Senator Cassidy, you're on my show. You seem like you're a decent guy. But here's the thing. Nobody outside of your buddies in Congress wants this bill. Only 12% of Americans supported the last one, and this one is worse. Right now, there's a bipartisan group of senators working to improve the health care system we have. We want quality, affordable health care. Dozens of other countries figured it out. So instead of jamming this horrible bill down our throats, go pitch in and be a part of that. I'm sure they could use a guy with your medical background. And if not, stop using my name, okay? Because I don't want my name on it. There's a new Jimmy Kimmel test for you. It's called a lie detector test. You're welcome to stop by the studio and take it anytime.
We're joined now by Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland. He's a member of the Senate Budget Committee. And Senator Van Hollen, the picture that Jimmy Kimmel was showing there was a picture of Senator Bill Cassidy, who actually appeared on his program. And in another part of what Jimmy Kimmel says tonight, he said that Senator Cassidy, quote, lied to his face. He said he lied to my face about Cassidy only supporting a bill that passes the Jimmy Kimmel test. This bill clearly, as Jimmy Kimmel himself has just told us, does not pass the Jimmy Kimmel test.
Well, Lawrence, it was really important that Jimmy Kimmel made this statement today because it exposes the farce of those who claim that this latest version of Trump Care put forward by Bill Cassidy and Lindsey Graham somehow met the Jimmy Kimmel test. And they were sort of parading this bill around as something that was good and that Jimmy Kimmel could embrace and endorse. So this was a very important and powerful statement that he's making. And he read off a litany of groups that are not Republican groups or not Democratic groups, the American Cancer Society, the American Heart Association, all these groups, all they care about is protecting patients. And you would hope that Republican and Democratic senators would care about those same patients. After all, they're our constituents. And
the Republicans got a letter today from Republican governors and Democratic governors saying they are absolutely opposed to this bill, including Governor of Ohio, Governor of Alaska, governors of Nevada, Vermont. And so, Senator, the governors who Lindsey Graham is saying, oh, we're going to give it all to the governors. They're going to love getting this. The governors are saying, no, we don't want this.
Well, that's right, because they know at the end of the day, all of their states are going to get totally shafted by this bill, because as time goes on, they cut off the Medicaid funding more and more until at the end of the day, it's about a third less than it is now. Jimmy Kimmel mentioned his child. There was a very powerful statement from the Children's Hospital Association that pointed out that this latest version of Trump Care would hurt coverage for over 30 million American children. On top of that, you've got the AARP talking about the damage it will do to seniors. It does grave damage to our entire healthcare system, which is why all of those groups that were strongly opposed before are coming out even more strongly now. But it is a race against time because Republicans are trying to jam this through in the next 11 days. And you raise the issue of bipartisanship. Senator McCain gave that very powerful speech back in early August about bipartisanship. Today, the Trump administration and Paul Ryan, the House Speaker, and Mitch McConnell pulled the plug on that bipartisan effort.
Lindsey Graham says that Paul Ryan says that he will pass this bill in the House if it passes the Senate. And let's listen to what Lindsey Graham said about working with you, about working with Democrats.
The Democratic Party is never going to give us anything that fundamentally changes Obamacare. We've had weeks of talking, and the only time they've gotten serious is when they're afraid that my bill may pass. And now they're coming to me, what about this and what about that? Here's what the Speaker of the House told me. I will not bring up a bill for a vote in the House that props up Obamacare because that is not why I came here, and that is not what our majority wants to do. And the President of the United States is committed to repealing and replacing this bill, not propping it up.
Senator, Lindsey Graham seems outraged that the Democrats are never going to vote for what he calls anything that fundamentally changes Obamacare.
Well, it's obviously no surprise to Lindsey Graham that we're not going to blow up and destroy the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. After all, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office has pointed out that if you do that, 32 million Americans would lose access to affordable coverage, and millions more will lose the patient protections that Jimmy Kimmel has been talking about. So we're not going to blow it up. But we did answer Senator McCain's call to work in a bipartisan manner to try to improve and strengthen the Affordable Care Act exchanges because they're not perfect. They need work. And Senator Lamar Alexander and Senator Patty Murray had been in very good faith discussions and negotiations to do just that. And as they got closer, what happened is Republicans got nervous that they were actually going to do something to improve the Affordable Care Act, and they went into a full alert and decided to pull the plug on it. That's when Paul Ryan said, no, House Republicans will never pass that compromise. The reality is that while Senator Lamar Alexander had good intentions and Senator McCain had good intentions, it seems like Mitch McConnell and the others were always conspiring against that bipartisan effort and always pushing to blow up the Affordable Care Act completely.
Senator, I think we both know that there is no member of the Senate whose microphone reaches as many people as Jimmy Kimmel's does. What do you make of his entry into this last-minute debate in the Senate tonight?
I think it's a very important moment, and it's an important moment because people like Senator Cassidy and others had been selling their bill as a bill that met this Jimmy Kimmel test. And now Jimmy Kimmel goes on the air and tells millions of Americans in a nonpartisan way, it just isn't the case. Stop using my name to peddle something that's going to hurt tens of millions of Americans.
Senator Chris Van Hollen, thank you very much for joining us on this breaking news story. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.